Thank you. That was a great segue into the ALUS program. So first of all, thank you to Amber and Farming Forward for having me here today. My name is Nancy Chambers and I work for Brazeau County. And the program that I run is called ALUS. So you may have heard of ALUS in the past or seen our logo around. ALUS was formerly known as the Alternative Land Use Systems. That's what it, or Land Use Services, that's what it stood for. And now we just go by the short form ALUS. But basically it is a program to get farmers and ranchers to think about using their land in a different way. We are a charitable organization active in 6 provinces and recently expanded into Iowa as well, which is super exciting. Our focus is on farmers and ranchers building nature-based solutions. So I do have to say that the ALUS program is exclusive to farmers and ranchers, just because they want to focus on working on the larger landscapes, and farmers and ranchers are typically the bigger landholders. So if you are an acreage owner, a small parcel owner that you don't have any income from your farm, there are other programs available, such as green acreages that do a similar work to ALUS, but ALUS is specifically for the farmers and ranchers. Now, one of the great things about the ALUS program is we are community developed and farmer delivered. And what I mean by that is we have an advisory committee called the Partnership Advisory Committee. And each municipality in Alberta that does have an ALUS program has a Partnership Advisory Committee. And they are a board that provides the policy and the direction to the program. And basically they are the decision makers of whether a project goes through, how much we're going to spend on a project, that sort of thing. So when I say we're community developed, ALUS has a higher arching guidelines for the PACs to follow, but we do have the freedom in our community to develop our policies and decide what rates we want to pay and what projects we want to support. So our partnership committee is composed of 5 local farmers. So it is heavy on the agricultural producers that are making these decisions about your projects. So there's 5 farmers, 1 council member, and then we also have 4 external agencies that assist with this. So Cows and Fish, North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, Farming Forward, and Agriculture and Agri-Food, they are all part of our PAC as well. So we do have the expertise from the technical experts, plus the farmers that are on the land as well. So that is who we are, and this is what we do. So basically, when I explain the ALUS program, I say it's an environmental stewardship program for farmers and ranchers. And together, we help to create, restore, and enhance nature on the land. So we work with what is on there, and we enhance it so that it's working better for you and provide nature-based solutions for not only you as a producer, but the community as well. And in terms of that, we're talking about cleaner water for everybody, cleaner air, more biodiversity, carbon sequestration, those sorts of things. So the farmers are producing that on their land, but the community is all benefiting from that. And basically, it's a system of best management practices to look after our ecosystem services. Now, the result of this is flood and drought mitigation, water filtration, carbon capture, all those sorts of things. And I find the best way to explain what the ALUS program is and does is to show you some actual projects of what we do. So here's some project examples, and all of these examples are in Brazeau County. So these are actual projects that are ALUS projects. So the first one is a bank restoration, excuse me. So this is along Moose Creek, and you can see the creek running through there. And basically what the farmer did is kind of let nature take its course and just kind of leave it alone. Stay out of there as a farmer. Don't take any equipment down there. Keep his cattle out of there. And nature really does do its own thing. And just by leaving it alone, it's flourished, it's come back naturally. You can see it's looking really healthy there. The shores are no longer bare. The grasses, the shrubs are covering that land. They are providing good slope stability and soil enhancement. So that is a popular one that we do have along creeks and banks. Another one is pollinator habitat, and this is just planting some wildflowers and shrubs for the pollinators. Exclusion fencing, this is one of the most popular ones that we have. So basically it's just putting a fence up around a creek or a water source to keep the cattle out of there. So then with that comes, if you're going to fence off your water source, you need to provide water for your livestock somehow. So this is a portable solar watering system. So that is a project that ALUS would fund as well. Yeah. So some of our most popular ones are the exclusive fencing and the solar watering system. Those are very much some of our most popular ones with a really big impact because we're keeping the livestock out of the water sources there. So not only is the water going to be cleaner and healthier, but your cattle are going to be healthier as well because they're not going down into that water. They're drinking clean, cool water out of a trough. So it's a great project. Another one that we have is tree planting. So sometimes that goes along with the bank restoration. And sometimes it's just creating a source that will capture the carbon. If you do a lot of tree planting, you can do like sort of a habitat for wildlife and do some habitat corridors for deer and moose, that sort of thing. Along with that, wildlife habitat such as bird houses or bat boxes, things like that. These are all projects as well. And then, of course, wetland enhancement. So just, keeping the livestock out of your wetlands, allowing it to, rehab and heal itself. Sometimes you can do plantings there as well, but a lot of times we find if you just leave it alone, it kind of takes care of itself. So like I said, these are all actual projects in Brazeau County. So those are just some of the examples that we have. I do have a sheet at the table there that explains some of these projects in a little bit more detail as well. Now, like I said, this is Brazeau County. If there's anyone here that is not from Brazeau County or has land elsewhere, some of our neighboring counties also have ALUS programs. So Parkland County, Leduc, Wetaskiwin, they all have ALUS programs as well.
Do you know if you're allowed to do the ALUS programs on grazing leases?
You can. So we had one in the past, and what we had to do is contact the provincial grazing specialist, explain the project to her, and she had to give it the thumbs up on that. And then she issued a temporary field authorization, so a TFA, and that gave that landowner permission for 1 year to have that project. And then every year she would have to reissue that TFA. So talk to your rangeland agrologist and work that out with them, but it is possible to get that done for sure. Okay, so how it works. So first of all, we come up with a project idea. So you may be thinking of some things in mind after you saw the examples there. Then I would get you to fill out an expression of interest. And the nice thing about the ALUS project is there's not a lot of paperwork to do for it. This is just a 2-page information with your name, your contact information, your land location, that sort of thing. I take care of pretty much all the rest of the paperwork after that. So that part is really nice. Then I'll arrange to come out for a site visit and you and I will walk the land and have a look at the project. We'll chat about what you want to do. And then I will put together a proposal and a map and we'll work on that back and forth. The proposal will describe your farming operations, what your project wants to do, quotes of how much it's going to cost to put the project in, that sort of thing. And we'll describe the benefits of it. And then once you're satisfied with that, I will take that report to our PAC, our Partnership Advisory Committee. I present it to them, they all discuss it, and then they have the final say on whether you get the thumbs up or they want to see some changes in it. But as long as it's meeting the goals of the ALUS program in conserving and protecting and enhancing, our PAC is really open to a lot of ideas. So the PAC reviews it, and then if they give you the thumbs up on it, you can go ahead and do your project implementation. So you go ahead and put your project in. So whether it is purchasing your solar water, or putting your fencing in, building your bird houses, whatever, you've got the green light to go ahead with that. And then I'm going to tell you about the payment types and how that works. So there's 2 types of payments. The first being establishment costs. So what you would be reimbursed from the ALUS program is 50% of your actual costs. And we do have a cap on fencing. So if your fencing costs you $10 per meter, we're going to pay 50% of that. So you'll get $5 per meter back. Now, if your fencing costs $25 per meter, you're still just going to get the $8 per meter back. Now we're not too strict on what type of fencing to put in because we really want the farmer to do what they want to do on their land. So we're not going to tell you exactly what type of fencing. If you want to do 4-strand barbed wire, or if you want to do wildlife friendly fencing, which we do encourage, so a top smooth wire and the bottom wire smooth as well. If you want to do posts and rails, or if you want to do page wire, you do what works for you, and we will support you in that. So once your project has been established, you send all your receipts into me. I come out and verify that you have done the work. If I have to GPS a fence line or anything like that to figure out, how many meters of fence you put in, what your project area is, how many acres is within that fence line, then I do that. And then once it's all good, then Brazeau County sends you a check for 50% of your establishment costs. So that's the first payment that you'll receive. And then after that, you get annual payments. So we ask you to enter into a 5-year agreement with ALUS. Now, it's not put on your land title or anything like that. You can get out of the agreement if it's not working for you. You just give us 30 days notice and you can exit out of the agreement. You would have to pay back, prorated establishment cost. But it's just an agreement to say that you are going to manage and maintain this land, and in return, ALUS is going to do these annual payments for you. And then I come out and I inspect it once a year, or one of our staff comes and does an inspection to make sure that everything is healthy there. And then basically we give you a payment per acre based on the land type. So for example, if you have a creek that's running through your pasture and you put up a fence, so that's going to delineate where your project area is. So the pasture that's there, you're going to get paid $45 per acre to not run your cattle on that pasture anymore, and then $24 per acre for the wetland. So we just upped the rates this year because we just realized everything is going up, so we're compensating a little bit more this year. But you would get those payments every November for a 5-year term in return for managing and maintaining the project. After the 5 years, then you would have the option to renew it again. And at that point, you wouldn't have any establishment costs anymore because your fence is in or you have your solar water. So you're just maintaining it and managing it for another 5 years. So you may be wondering where the funding is coming from. So we have a ALUS national team that is fantastic and supports us in all of the fundraising efforts. So they have a lot of different sources where the funding comes from for this. So there's corporations like the TD Bank and RBC, Cargill, A&W, Dairy Farmers of Canada that want to do these environmental things, but they can't do it themselves in their business. So they're going to give that money to programs like the ALUS program in order to put these acres in the ground, provide cleaner water, cleaner air. So there's corporations, and that's where a lot of our funding comes from. There's also societies like Ducks Unlimited, the Alberta Professional Outfitter Societies that want to encourage habitat for wildlife. There also are some individuals that just want to donate out of the good of their hearts, and they donate to us. We've had some anonymous donations in the past. The provincial government does provide some funding for this as well as the municipal. But in all cases, I try and use all of the money of the corporations and the societies and everything before I use our taxpayer money for any of this. And then, of course, we are free to apply for any grant on top. So sometimes we can get some good grants where we can top up your 50% establishment costs. So you get 50% from the ALUS program. If we're lucky enough to get another grant, we may be able to top that up. And some of our early adopters were very lucky with some grants that we got, and their establishments costs were paid at 100%. So they were lucky. We're always looking for those opportunities. It's kind of tricky to find sometimes. So that's where the funding comes from. Here's 2 websites if you want to look for more information. The top one is the Brazeau County ALUS website, and the other one is our ALUS national site as well. And here's my contact information. It's also on my table there. So if you have any questions, just reach out to me and I would be glad to chat with you and come out to your farm and have a look. Is there any questions?